This thing really is one of the best home tyre inflation solutions that I've ever seen. Let's check it out. I'm John Cadogan from AutoExpert.com.au, the place where Australian new car buyers save thousands off their next new cars. Hit me up on the website for that. And this is the Ryobi One Inflator-Deflator. And obviously no marketing geniuses were injured in the naming of this product, sadly, but it's a pretty good bit of kit. I mean, it's as light as a feather, minus the battery, which it does not come with. And I guess that's part of the deal with all these power tool companies. They want to inculcate you into their own evil ecosystem with the battery and its unique design so that you may not stray and be unfaithful with another manufacturer in future. Anywho, if you've got a few Ryobi tools, this baby is just 99 bucks at Bunnings, and I know this because I spent my own money on one just last weekend to check it out and bring you this report. So no, it is absolutely not sponsored, and I'm kind of free to say whatever the hell I want about it, which is always nice. So there's a couple of great reasons for having a product such as this, and the first one would be you don't have to endure the queuing system at your average service station. Please tell me what service it is that they're actually providing you with. Anyway, that would be a gas station in Retardistan. I mean, I know the air is free, but the fitting's usually leaky, and half the time the damn thing's out of order. And 99 bucks to sidestep all of that inconvenience, well, I'd be in that in a heartbeat, you know. And the other thing is, of course, the fine print on the tyre placard of most cars inside the driver's door says cold inflation pressure. So it's always a bit dodgy if you've had to drive, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 kilometres to the servo to get the air to inflate the tyres to the cold inflation pressure because, hey, they're no longer going to be cold. So there's that. And there's a couple of really good reasons to pay attention to getting your tyre pressures right and checking them, I don't know, once a fortnight, maybe even once a week. You could make it a religious ritual on a Sunday morning, and it'd certainly be more effective than most other religious rituals, I think you'd agree. So for all these reasons, you know, you might save your own neck by preserving all of the handling capability of the vehicle, which is highly dependent on the pressures being right. And the other thing is, of course, I don't think any of us actually enjoy going to a tyre retailer and buying new tyres. It's a bit of a grudge purchase, isn't it? And a lay-down misère guaranteed way to make sure that your tyres wear out early on your car is not to check the pressures often enough and unwittingly therefore drive around on partly underinflated tyres, because just a few PSI down and the wear rate is through the damn roof. So let's check this baby out, see how it performs and whether or not I have wasted my 99 big ones last weekend. The instructions on this thing are so simple that, hey, even a motoring journalist would get it. And you don't get to say that very often. So the placard on the mighty Santa Fe says 35, and I always go up by about 10%, so I'm going to go for 38 PSI. And one more thing, okay? I'm going to make sure these tyres are really quite flat, because it's not a test without, you know, a reasonable hurdle to get over, is it? Well, there you go. I just channeled my inner jilted ex-wife, you know, because they so hate it if they discover that you've had, I don't know, an unauthorised test drive, or they find out about your plans to upgrade to a new model with, I don't know, superior airbags. But you know, there might be an application, real world type application for this kind of scenario as well, you know. You could be on a bit of a holiday, family holiday, you could have driven down the beach, whatever, and just got something sharp through the tread face. And if you are lucky enough and Baden Powell prepared enough to carry a tyre plug kit, well, you can fix the defect in the tread just with a plug. Like, that's pretty easy to do. You don't even have to take the tyre off the rim for that. But it's all not that useful unless you've got means of reinflation, which this apparently is. So let's give it a nudge. It's really simple, because all you've got to do is connect up the hose in the time-honoured manner, power the baby up, set the pressure. So placard says 35. I'm going to go for 38 because, hey, let's live life on the edge and, you know, compromise the ride quality a little bit for maybe a little bit better handling. Just power up. And that's the other nice thing, right? This baby's got the good grace to switch itself off automatically. So, got to be happy with that. Then, you know, that's really simple. So, what are we at? We're at 10 and a half minutes, let's call it, from dead flat to absolutely serviceable once again. This is a pretty big tyre in the Santa Fe Highlander too. It's a 235/55 on a 19-inch rim. So there's a lot of air in there, and 38 PSI is what? Best part of 2.5 atmospheres. Air really doesn't like being compressed. It doesn't like being under pressure any more than you or I do. So I'd call that a reasonably good result. Now, the battery still has 3 out of 4 bars, so I guess it's safe to assume that you could go maybe once or twice again without running out of electrical grunt. And obviously, you know, when I get home, I'll just whip out the battery and whip it into the charger, and then I'll be good to go again at the weekend when I check the pressures. So happy days. Just to clarify, okay, on the battery front, this is a 2.5 amp hour battery, and like most power tool manufacturers, Ryobi uses an 18 volt system, so 2.5 amp hours times 18 volts is 45 watt hours of electricity, which is a fair bit of electrical grunt in a package that's pretty compact. When I got this battery, I got it with a 5 amp hour battery together in a sort of starter pack that was a drill driver setup. So if I pack this battery together with its big brother and I take this baby on a trip with me with the family into some remote place, I'd get 3 reinflations out of this one, and I'd like to think that twice as much electrical grunt would give me another 6 reinflations with the big brother for a total of 9. And I don't know about you, but I've never taken the family away for a little tiny jaunt into the outback and had to reinflate 9 tyres. That doesn't sound like fun. I've had fun and that's not it. Obviously, if you're going to do a bunch of really hardcore off-road driving, then this sort of Ryobi compressor is not the solution for you, and you'd want to go to, I don't know, ARB or something and get a 12 volt compressor that plugs itself onto the car's battery and gives you effectively infinity opportunities to reinflate as required. So this is not the solution for the Blue Singlet off-roading set, but it's pretty good for you at home to solve all of those tyre inflation issues that we talked about earlier, particularly the cold inflation pressure problem. So let us repair now to the not so fat anymore cave and wrap this baby up. Of course, there's nothing wrong with having a proper shop compressor. These things are awesome. You can do so much with them. You can drive everything from a little air gun to a sander and a drill and a nail gun, and of course you can inflate your tyres if you're adequately equipped. $1,100 for this one. They still make this model. It's in production today. I just checked. $1,100 is what a brand newie will set you back, and then of course you'll need a reel and a tyre inflator, and you probably want to get yourself a few other tools as well to go with it. I mean, why not have the basic boxed set, right? So that is a $1,500 spend. And you'd have to say, okay, well, it's a multi-decade investment. It might be worthwhile for you, but you might live in the inner city. You might not have anywhere to put the compressor. You might not be able to get your car close enough to get the hose within cooey of the job itself. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. It's going to get old carrying this thing down 20 stairs or whatever it is for your particular situation. So many people could benefit from a shop compressor, but it's a big spend and it's not a one-size-fits-all proposition. So, if you don't want to drop $1,500 on your very own shop compressor and a load of hot air, something like this is absolutely brilliant. And it's great if you've got limited garage space or you're forced to park your car off the street. There are plenty of people in that position as well. And the onboard storage of the little inflation accessories for all the kids' toys, you know, the bikes and the basketballs and the soccer balls and whatever, that's pretty clever as well. There's a whole side over here, of course, that just deals with the high volume stuff. You know, it's got this high volume, low pressure inflation hose as well that bayonets itself on, and it's just right for things like, I don't know, the air mattresses and the pool toys. And if you're organising a bucks party, it's ideal for a baker's dozen of bendy Wendy's. Yes. You don't want them to go down on you. If not, if you're organising the event, because that'll be down to you, and nobody wants that. So the auto cutoff feature on this baby is brilliant as well, and it's one of the reasons I went for the $99 option instead of the even cheaper entry-level 18-volt doohickey that does the same thing essentially, but it's $79 and it doesn't have auto cutoff. So with that, I imagine what you've got to do is connect it, take it off, measure the pressure with your own gauge, repeat iteratively until you get the right pressure. I just like the thought of plugging it in, set and forget, you know, check your emails or something, and when it turns off, she's all good, mate. So basically, the only thing about stuff like this is you are kind of locked in to the ecosystem, aren't you? And I didn't want you to think I was, let's talk about that over here. You do get a bit sucked into that vortex, don't you, of the ecosystem. It's like being ingested into a black hole, I guess. But my thing was, I didn't want you to think I'm some kind of... It's going to be a tough sell, isn't it? I didn't want you to think I was a Ryobi whore, and it's not how it looks, honey. I just went to Bunnings and I wanted to keep things consistent. I wanted to make them all interchangeable, and she just fell over in the shower and I rushed in to rescue her, and this isn't how it looks. My basic position with power tools, okay, is the brand really doesn't matter. This is the same with a lot of tools. Unless you're a tradie. If you're a tradie, I guess, yeah, it does matter because you're using them hard and you're using them every day. For the rest of us who are just fabricating this and that recreationally, then a middle-of-the-range sort of brand and occasional use, even if it's occasional hard use, these things are going to put in, you know, years and years of service, and they're not going to owe you anything when they eventually cark it. So there's that. Just want to talk to you quickly about the whole tyre plug thing, which I mentioned earlier, you know, out there in Shitsville on location with all those flesh-eating, venomous reptiles. So here's your basic tyre plug repair kit. And it is so simple that, well, I don't think a motoring journalist, your average motoring journalist, could handle this, but you'll probably be okay, all right? It comes with a few things like all of these sticky patches here that, you know, good luck getting that off your fingers, but once they're in there, baby, they are in there. However, these things are only classed as temporary repairs, so what you're meant to do is use it to get yourself going, and then you're supposed to go to a tyre shop and get them to remove the plug and put in an internal patch. Having said that, I've seen cases of these things lasting for the life of the tyre, and you are certainly good to go for weeks to months. That's how it is in practice, but from a regulatory point of view, temporary repair only. So in addition to more patches than hopefully you will ever need, the brand of this, incidentally, is Safety Seal, but there are a whole bunch of other branded tyre plug kits, and they all work on the same principle. You get a reamer, which basically just conditions up the hole. So let's say you get a screw or a nail through the tread face, you pull it out with a pair of pliers, you jam this reamer in, and it conditions the hole up so it is the Goldilocks size for one of your plugs, which you pull out and then you put in this purpose-built needle insertion tool. It's a split needle just here at the point. I don't know how well you can see that. Anyway, you just shove that through and then basically you jam the plug into the defect through the tread face of the tyre like that, and then you put your fingers here and you withdraw the needle, but the plug stays in. There's a bit of lubricant as well, because we all know how unpleasant it is poking things in the absence of lubricant. So don't do that. The lube is just right for getting the safety seal plug in there, and then basically that's all it takes. You are good to go after that. You get your reinflation whatever, and then you pump the tyre back up, and provided it's holding pressure, you're okay until you can get that professional repair, which is fantastic. So if you are thinking about visiting a remote area, I highly recommend one of these kits and some form of inflation, just so that if you get one flat tyre and you fit your spare, that's fine. What do you do if you get a second flat tyre? That's kind of a problem, especially if there are no settlements nearby and there's no mobile service for the phone. That's kind of a bastard. And this is just a risk management hedge. They're not real expensive and they'll last you for years, because unless you're a hardcore outback adventurer, you don't need them that often. But when you do need them, you really need them. So that's about all I've got for you on this report. Let me know how you felt about tool time, which I generally don't do very much of. If you like the tool time thing, there's heaps of things there we could explore as well, like, I don't know, off the top of my head, things like thread repair and, workshop safety and a bunch of stuff like that. Let me know in the comments feed below. And thank you sincerely for watching.